I never planned to leave Earth. Back then, my life was simple. I worked long shifts at a repair station near the edge of the Pacific Federation. Every morning looked the same. Every night felt the same. I thought my future would be a straight line stretching into old age. I was wrong. Everything changed on the day a silver ship appeared above the city. The vessel did not attack. It did not send threats. It simply hovered in the sky like a second moon. For 3 days, the world waited. Governments argued. Scientists studied. Reporters talked without stopping. Then the visitors finally spoke. Their leader was known as Queen Lyra. She ruled a vast empire spread across hundreds of star systems. Her people were called the HumanXAliens. They were taller than humans, smarter in many ways. Older than any civilization we had ever imagined. The Queen offered peace. She offered trade. She offered knowledge. In return, she asked for cultural ambassadors. Thousands volunteered. I was not one of them. Yet somehow fate had different plans. A month later, I was repairing a damaged communications array when an official transport arrived. 2 officers stepped out. One of them looked at a tablet. Then he looked at me. Daniel Reeves. I nodded. You have been selected. I laughed because I thought it was a joke. It was not. 3 weeks later, I was aboard an HumanXAlien flagship traveling farther from Earth than any human had ever gone. The ship was enormous. Cities could have fit inside it. The halls glowed with soft blue light. The walls seemed alive. They shifted colors depending on who walked near them. At first, I felt excited. Then I felt terrified. I was surrounded by beings who had crossed galaxies while humanity was still learning how to survive on a single world. Most of the human ambassadors were assigned diplomatic roles. I received something different. I was assigned to the royal household. More specifically, I would serve Queen Lyra directly. The announcement nearly made me faint. The Queen herself barely seemed real. She stood almost 7 feet tall. Her silver hair flowed like liquid light. Her eyes carried a strange violet glow. When she entered a room, everyone fell silent. Not because they feared her, because they respected her. Even the most powerful officers lowered their heads when she passed. On my first day, I expected a cold ruler. Instead, I found someone curious. She asked endless questions about Earth, about music, about weather, about families, about dreams. Sometimes she would spend hours listening while I talked about ordinary things. Rainstorms, street food, old movies. Things that seemed meaningless to me fascinated her. Weeks became months. Slowly, I adapted to life aboard the flagship. I learned the customs. I learned the language. I learned which corridors led to restricted areas. Most importantly, I learned that Queen Lyra carried a burden no one else understood. She smiled often, but sadness hid behind her eyes. I noticed it during quiet moments, when meetings ended, when celebrations finished, when she believed nobody was watching. One evening I gathered enough courage to ask, "Your Majesty, are you unhappy?" She looked surprised. Nobody else would have dared ask. For a moment she stared through a giant observation window. Stars drifted beyond the glass. Then she answered, "Power is a lonely thing, Daniel." That was all she said. But it told me everything. Years passed. The flagship became my home. Earth felt farther away with every journey. I visited worlds covered in crystal forests. I walked beneath floating mountains. I saw oceans glowing with living light. Yet despite all those wonders, the most fascinating mystery remained Queen Lyra herself. Then came the night that changed everything. The memory is still clear. I had just finished organizing reports from a diplomatic summit. The ship's artificial sunset had already faded. Most of the crew were resting. I was preparing to sleep when a royal messenger arrived. He stood at my door, silent, formal, waiting. My stomach tightened. Nobody received royal summons at that hour. "Is something wrong?" I asked. "The Queen requests your presence." "Now?" Immediately. My heart began racing. I followed him through quiet corridors. The deeper we traveled, the more nervous I became. Eventually, we reached the royal sector. Few people were allowed there. The messenger stopped before enormous doors carved with ancient symbols. He bowed. The Queen awaits. Then he left, alone. I stared at the doors. 100 possibilities rushed through my mind. Had I made a mistake? Was there an emergency? Was Earth in danger? Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward. The doors opened. The chamber beyond was unlike anything I had seen before. It looked less like a room and more like a private world. A waterfall flowed along one wall. Glowing plants filled the corners. Above me, an artificial sky displayed distant constellations. At the center stood Queen Lyra. She was looking out through a transparent dome toward the stars. For several seconds, she did not speak. Then she turned. "Thank you for coming, Daniel." "Of course, Your Majesty." Her expression seemed different, not fearful, not angry, thoughtful. She gestured toward a seat. "Please sit." I obeyed. The silence stretched. Finally, she spoke. "Do you know why I summoned you?" "No." She smiled faintly. "I suspected as much." Another pause followed. Then she asked a strange question. "Do you trust me?" The words caught me off guard. "Yes." "Completely?" I considered my answer carefully, then nodded. "Yes." Something changed in her eyes, relief perhaps, or gratitude. She walked toward a wall. With a wave of her hand, hidden panels opened. Inside rested an ancient object. It looked like a sphere made from black crystal. The moment I saw it, a chill ran through my body. "Do you know what this is?" she asked. "No. It is older than my empire." I stared at the sphere. The room suddenly felt colder. The artifact was discovered centuries ago. Since then, it has remained silent. Silent? It contains a consciousness. I blinked. What kind of consciousness? Her answer came softly. "We do not know." Before I could speak again, she continued. 3 nights ago it awakened. The chamber became completely silent, and since then it has spoken only one name. My throat tightened. "Whose name?" She looked directly at me. "Yours." For a second I thought she was joking. She was not. Every instinct told me she was completely serious. I stood. "That doesn't make any sense." "I agree." "Then why would it say my name?" "We hoped you might know." I laughed nervously. "I've never seen that thing before in my life." "I believe you." The Queen approached the sphere. Dark energy flickered beneath its surface. "It requested your presence." The words echoed through the chamber. I wished I were anywhere else. Yet curiosity pushed me forward. Slowly I walked toward the artifact. The closer I came, the stronger the strange feeling became, like remembering a dream I had forgotten. The sphere began glowing. A deep vibration filled the room. Then a voice emerged. Not through speakers, not through the air. Inside my mind. "Daniel." I froze. The Queen stepped back. The voice continued. At last, every hair on my body stood upright. "Who are you?" I whispered. Images exploded across my thoughts. Ancient stars. Dying galaxies. Civilizations rising and falling. A history older than imagination. The sheer scale nearly overwhelmed me. Then the vision stopped. The voice returned. "You carry the mark." "What mark?" No answer came. Instead, another image appeared. A distant planet hidden within a nebula. Mountains shaped like crowns. A city buried beneath ice. Then darkness. The sphere went silent. Completely silent. The room remained still. Neither of us spoke for several moments. Finally, Queen Lyra broke the silence. "What did you see?" I told her everything. Every detail, every vision, every strange sensation. When I finished, she looked troubled. "Those locations exist?" My heart skipped. "What?" "The planet from your vision. It is real." The implications hit me immediately. This was no accident. Somehow the artifact knew something about me. Something I did not know myself. By sunrise, preparations were already underway. A royal expedition would travel to the hidden planet. Queen Lyra insisted on leading it personally. I joined the mission, partly because I had no choice, partly because I needed answers. The journey lasted 12 days. During that time, I barely slept. Questions filled my mind. Why me? Why now? What was waiting on that world? When we finally arrived, the planet looked exactly like the vision, a frozen sphere floating within swirling clouds of color. We landed near the ancient city. Massive structures rested beneath centuries of ice. The place felt abandoned, yet not empty. Something watched us. I could feel it. The expedition moved carefully. Hours passed. Then we discovered an enormous gate buried beneath the snow. Ancient symbols covered its surface. The moment I touched it, the symbols ignited with light. Everyone stepped back. A low rumble echoed across the valley. The gate opened. Beyond lay a staircase descending into darkness. No one spoke. We simply stared. Then Queen Lyra looked at me. "Shall we continue?" I nodded. Together we entered. The chambers below stretched for miles. Machines lined the walls. Ancient technology hummed softly despite its age. At the center of the complex stood a single structure, a throne. Not a royal throne. Something older, stranger. As we approached, a holographic figure appeared. Its shape flickered like blue fire. The being looked neither human nor Elorian. It belonged to a race long vanished. The figure studied me, then smiled. "Welcome home." Those words hit harder than anything else. "Home?" I asked. The figure nodded. "Your people were guardians. My people are human." Now they are. Confusion flooded my mind. The figure explained. Thousands of generations earlier, a small group of ancient travelers had settled on Earth. Over time, their descendants forgot their origins. History became myth. Myth became dust. Eventually, only fragments remained. Humanity never knew. But the bloodline survived, including me. I listened in stunned silence. The artifact, the visions, the summons. Everything suddenly connected. The hologram continued. The Guardians protected knowledge that could reshape civilizations. Queen Lyra stepped forward. "What knowledge?" The figure looked toward her, then answered. "A choice." The chamber darkened. Stars appeared around us. An enormous map filled the air. Galaxies rotated slowly. Countless worlds shimmered like jewels. Then I understood. The ancient network hidden beneath the planet connected distant regions of the universe instantly. Not ships, not gates. Something far greater. A system capable of uniting civilizations forever, or destroying them. The Guardians had hidden it because no empire was ready. Not yet. The hologram turned toward me. Only a descendant may activate the network. The weight of responsibility settled onto my shoulders. Entire futures depended on a decision I was unprepared to make. I looked at Queen Lyra. She remained silent, waiting, trusting. For the first time, I realized why she had summoned me that night. Not because she needed a servant, not because she needed an ambassador, because somehow destiny had chosen me. Hours later, we returned to the surface. Snow drifted across the frozen plains. The stars shone overhead. I stood beside Queen Lyra, watching the horizon. "What would you do?" I asked. She thought carefully before answering. "Power should never belong to one person." I smiled. "Even a queen? Especially a queen." The wisdom in her words settled my doubts. Weeks later, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered. Together they formed a council. Together they decided the future of the network. No empire would control it alone. Not even the Elorians, not even Earth. The decision changed history. Trade expanded, knowledge spread, conflicts diminished. A new era began. Years passed. The galaxy grew smaller. Civilizations grew closer. As for me, I never returned to my old repair station. Life had taken me somewhere far stranger. Sometimes I still think about that night. The quiet corridors, the royal messenger, the enormous doors opening before me. A simple summons that changed everything. People often ask what Queen Lyra was truly like. Was she wise? Was she powerful? Was she feared? The answer is yes. But those things are not what I remember most. What I remember is her loneliness, her courage, her willingness to trust an ordinary human when every reason suggested she should not. Because in the end, that trust saved more than an empire. It helped unite the stars. And whenever I visit the royal flagship, I still see her standing beneath the artificial sky, looking out at the endless universe. The same universe that brought a repair technician from Earth into the service of an alien queen. A universe full of mysteries, full of impossible journeys, full of doors waiting to be opened, all because one night, the alien queen summoned me to her chambers,